let me hello. 'Cause where you go is where I go.
Bustling waterfront of Poros in the morning. We are just pulling in Corpus after a long day, getting across the Gulf of Corinth and then through the Corinth Canal, and we're looking forward to getting anchored. Should be some space in the harbor here. Anchor and a nap, and maybe like those folks, a noodle swim. Saying goodbye to the town of Corpus. Had a nice little stay over there, good relaxing spot after a long day going through the Corinth Canal. Pretty undeveloped in this area. A lot of fish farms though. You can see one over there. The building for it, the farm is actually right on the shore. And we're having a nice downwind sail here. Broad reaching. A couple sailboats out with us, but not too many. And we're going around the corner here to a harbor, Epidavros. Thank you. You can see in the distance some of the islands in this Saronic Gulf of the Aegean Sea. Somewhere over there is Aegina, which we will sail over to. I think it might be that one in the far distance on the left. Another example of the fish farms that are all around here on the Saronic Gulf area. So those are circular nets with a netting up above, I think probably to keep the birds out. And then they often have like a hut as shown there. I don't know that anybody's really living there, but it's probably to keep supplies and equipment. And another one just off this point over here. So they're really using fish farms here very actively, perhaps because of Athens being so close, but maybe this environment here lends itself well to fish farming.
We dropped our anchor, then tied our stern to the shore outside the harbor at Palaia, or Old Epidavros. We picked Epidavros as our second stop along the coastline of the Peloponnese Peninsula because of a very large amphitheater we could visit up in the hills, that it was about a 30-minute drive inland from the harbor. It is reported to be one of the best presentations of its scale that showcases ancient Greek architecture. We found the theater and so much more at this surprise stop. Once secured, we dinghied ashore to explore the town and to see how we could get to the site of the theater. We decided we would head inland the following morning. While in town, we learned of a small local amphitheater within walking distance. So, off we set.
Walking up to the ancient little theater, up what's called the ancient staircase with a modern cable, amongst a bunch of olive groves. And here it is, the little theater. Yeah, the royalty. A nice view, backdrop, and orange groves, olive trees along the side. Epidavros is famous for its ancient theater, somewhere I think up in the foothills there, half-hour away. We may go there later today or tomorrow, but they also have this little ancient theater right in town. Doesn't involve a bus or a taxi.
We also learned of an underwater town of sorts, a section of the old town's market streets that is only covered by a couple meters of water. We had to see this for ourselves. Time to go snorkeling.
I'm going out with you tonight. Are you close to here? I'm feeling down, I don't know why. No, it's so surreal. Think I want you here. Oh, oh, oh. touch. No, I don't need that much, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Though I want your touch. Baby, you're so high, stay. I don't mind a little crazy. But baby, you're so high, stay. We don't need to go that fast. I need this night to last. So, you were like me, you wanna be free, like a summer night. I'm feeling down, I don't know why. What an alibi. But I'm glad you're here.
Back on Sea Rose, Tom flew the drone over the underwater village. As you can see, the detail is amazing. Palaia, the Greek word for old, also means distant place, which is an accurate description of this incredible settlement that dates back for so many centuries. The next morning, we hopped on a local bus and were dropped off in front of the archaeological site known as the Sanctuary of Asclepius in Epidavros. This is one of the largest and well-known healing centers of antiquity. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site that is significant for its architectural brilliance and influence. According to a plaque in the museum there, huge numbers of people converged upon the sanctuary from all corners of the ancient world in order to be healed by miraculous cures performed by the god. However, the Sanctuary of Epidavros was also a place where real medicine was practiced, as is witnessed by inscriptions and medical instruments which have been found in excavations. One such account was literally etched in stone and is summarized by this plaque, which states that a prominent man suffered from indigestion and traveled to Epidavros, where his course of treatment included diet, exercise, and the use of natural therapeutic substances. The diet was bread and cheese accompanied by a celery and lettuce mix. He had to drink citron juice as well as milk with honey. There is more, but it basically says, eat right, exercise, and get plenty of rest. Where have we heard that before? This piece, which is preserved inside their museum, is a counting text discovered in the sanctuary that provides evidence on the process of construction for some of the principal buildings of the site, which were built in the 4th and 3rd centuries BC. In addition to the types of building materials used, it lists expenses as well, details that were literally carved in stone. The grounds included baths, gymnasiums, stadiums, residence houses, and more. They are continuing to excavate even today. But of course, the reason we came all this way was certainly the highlight, the ancient Greek theater that is nearly acoustically perfect. At one point of our visit, a young man stood in the center stage and sang a song. I could hear each word from my perch high above. For something completely different, we moved on from Epidavros and the Peloponnese Peninsula to circumnavigate the small island of Agistri in the center of the Saronic Gulf. We settled into a small, rocky-shored cove off the tiny village of Mariza on the island's southern coast. We stayed here for 2 nights, and we had it all to ourselves for the most part. The winds were quite strong outside, but we were very protected, other than the waves that continually swept below us and onto the rock wall at the back of the cove. We had our bow pointed directly out of the cove, which meant that we were not rocking back and forth, but instead had a pretty comfortable stay. So my crafty husband is working up a little pulley system. Just hooking, we've created one loop on the stern line that go to the stairs, and you can see we have our boat. And we are now going to create a pulley system between here, where we can pull the dinghy out so it's safe while we're on shore, and yet we can get off on the stairs and retrieve our dinghy when we want to later. So we will show how it works in just a moment. Okay, so as you can see, I have gotten off the dinghy. He's going to make this a little shorter. Okay, so he's on shore. Okay, so hold on. Let's figure out what's happening here. So talk to me.
I'm going to pull this out.
All right. Oh, it's on a loop. I see. So there we go. Painter's being pulled out. Oops, shoes almost lost overboard. Okay, oh, look at that. There we go. Now we're going to grab both lines, I suspect.
There we are.
And tie it to something. Cool.
You're gone now, will you call me back? Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. You're the traveling kind. It's a known fact. Yeah, I know that. Once you've seen.
So believe it or not, these are actually steps. Not the easiest steps, but steps nonetheless. So palms down. And then he's going to untie the retrieval mechanism. Okay. Okay, don't drop that line. We'll be swimming for it, which actually sounds really great.
I hope I'll be your life-changing sensation. I hope I'll be something that you won't let go. I'll be your high when you fall down low. I hope I'll be your end destination. You're far away and yet so close. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, you're up in space. You're inside the noise. I can feel you. Once you've seen all the things, all the places, I hope it means that you'll come home to me. Once you've traveled the world, all the spaces inside your heart. I hope I'll be your.
We thoroughly enjoyed the natural beauty of this incredible spot. However, we had one more stop that sits near the top of our wish list of places that cannot be missed, the island of Poros. And since summer was fading, it was time to keep moving.
I hope I'll be something that you want.
We're sailing along past the kind of the western part of Poros. Going through a little gap here, and had a nice downwind sail today. It's been blowing up to 25 knots of wind, so we just put the jib up. It's been quite comfortable. So we're passing a lighthouse on the land there. A lot of boats were coming out of here earlier today. There must have been like a flotilla down here. It must be a popular place for, I know it's a popular place for boating in general, and also probably a popular place for charterers. And there's probably 10 to 15 boats that were coming out of here in the last couple hours. So the northern part of Poros is pretty wooded, and we're going to come around the southern part, get some protection from this northerly winds we've got right now, and that's where the town is as well. So we're going to check that out. Might stay here a couple days. Have a belated birthday dinner, birthday lunch, birthday breakfast. Say that again, ma'am?
You show the people over here tacking upwind in 20 knots and big seas,
Yep.
relatively big seas.
There's a boat over there, and a boat kind of hard to see way over there. We just passed them a little while ago. They're both tacking out of here in 20 to 25 knots of wind, reef sails. Hats off to them, because everybody else was motoring, including a lot of catamarans that were banging and banging and banging up into the waves. So they were doing a good job there with the sailing. A lot easier for us because we're just going downwind, straight downwind pretty much, and with just the jib up. Don't have to worry about the main accidentally jibing. We had to do one jibe with jib, but it's a lot more controlled. And in this wind strength, we don't need extra sail area with the main. We were doing 6 to 7 knots of boat speed, so we're plenty of speed there. So this is the gap. So the little narrows here, and then we're gonna turn around to port. Come around the final point here of the gap around Poros. I'm gonna turn to port. And actually 2 sailboats. All right, we just rounded western point Poros, where that sailboat, dark hulled sailboat's going out, and we're coming in here and we're just checking out some anchorages before we get to the actual town of Poros. The town is up on that hillside there, so a lot of great boats here, a lot of big super yachts and some sailboats. This is called Russian Bay. Our goal is to be a little closer to town tonight. Partly because I owe Karen a birthday dinner that didn't work out last night. Lots of wind here, about 20 knots, 20 to 25 knots, but no fetch, so there's no real issue with waves and all that. So we actually love the breeze when we're anchored, especially when it comes without a lot of waves. So it's a little after noon, it's about 12:30, and this is actually a good time to come into an anchorage because sort of the most people have left and the least people have arrived to anchor for the night. So if you try to come in too early in the morning, not a lot of boats have left yet. They're sort of stragglers. And if you come in later in the afternoon, then places start filling up, and definitely late in the day it gets really full. So we didn't really plan it this way. It's sort of the way it ended up, but we should have a lot more choices here, being right in the middle of the day. So we're all settled in the harbor of Poros. Got our fancy awning up. We're trying to use this as much as we can, even if we're just going to stay for a day, because it helps a lot with keeping the sun off of the cabin top and off of the hatches, which then the heat goes right down into the boat there in the main cabin area. So this reduces a lot of the heat effect in the main cabin. We also have a smaller awning that we can set up on these hatches for our berth, and actually it's a little bit more rugged fabric, and it will help for if there's ever any rain, which we haven't seen rain in months. Well, at least a long time. But it'll keep rain out of that berth, and we can keep the hatches open, and it also gives sunshade there too.
We walked around the town of Poros and felt for the first time like we were in what we had remembered as the Greek islands. For our second night off Poros, we moved into a cove near Russian Bay. We're there, stern to in the cove next to that catamaran. That evening, we hiked up onto the bluff behind us to fly the drone and to watch sailboats navigate into the harbor. There are a million places to tuck into around here.
we're up early this morning. We raised anchor about 6:30 and we're leaving Poros. Try to get as much early morning time to cross over to Kia before high winds come up later today. So we're going to transit through the narrow channel between Poros and the sort of mainland of the Peloponnese Peninsula here. There's a couple spots where you have to kind of zigzag around a really shallow areas, so we're going to be looking out for that. We would have probably left before daybreak if it weren't for how shallow it is and tricky the channel is through here, so we wanted a little bit of daylight. But it's kind of nice to be up and around and underway early. Get to see the sun coming up. We still should have some good winds crossing over to Kia. And we'll get a good start here this morning with a nice view of Poros on the way through.
I don't ask for much, no, I don't need that much, yeah. Though I want your touch, baby, you're so high, stay. I don't mind a little crazy, but baby, you're so high, stay.
Bustling waterfront of Poros in the morning. Along this side of the Poros Quay, actually it's sort of odd, they side tie boats through the section. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it's too narrow for people to have their anchors out, but you have to expect that somebody may raft up with you. A couple of people sleeping in their cockpit there. So you have to plan on or anticipate somebody rafting up with you. Down here, people do drop their anchor and go stern too. Again, I think it's probably because there's a little bit more width in the channel.
I want your touch, baby, you're so high, stay. I don't mind a little crazy, but baby, you're so high, stay. We don't need to go that fast.
Passing by the eastern side of Poros this morning, a nice view. Pretty much what we saw at Poros was the town, which was great, but this more rugged kind of coastline of Poros is also very nice. Would be good for an anchorage. And a little pointed island off the tip here.
Please subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to get notified of new videos. Join us next time as we leave the Saronic Islands and move into the Cycladic Islands.
White knuckle sailing.
Alright, we're saying goodbye to our little hot springs. Pretty cool to be able to go get in a little warm water next to the ocean.